I know your life on earth was trouble, and only you could know the pain. You weren't afraid to face the devil. You were no stranger to the rain. Coolest high on that mountain, the sun you work on earth is done. Go to heaven and shout love for the Father and the Son. Oh, how we cried the day you left us. We gathered round your grave to grieve. Wish I could see the angels' faces, and they hear your sweet voice sing. Coolest high on that mountain, the sun you work on earth is done. Go to heaven and shout love for the Father and the Son. Coolest high on that mountain, the sun you work on earth is done. Go to heaven and shout love for the Father and the Son. Go to heaven and shout love for the Father and the Son.
I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today. My name is Sonny Van Newland, and I am a friend of Natalie Langley, and I'm here to be the facilitator for this ceremony. So you'll notice that this is a different type of service. It's a different format. It's different, but it's the same. The same because it's tradition for us to gather when a loved one dies. We gather for all, but maybe particularly when a person was so loved, so filled with love and life, and so young. It's different because we are in different physical places. We use this tool called Zoom, which we've gathered on today, to be together. And it will be enough, but it's still different. And so for those of you who aren't familiar with this platform, let me mention a few tools or a few features that you might use in order to participate fully. So at the beginning, you'll notice that you are muted. This is so the background noise in one's home does not impact all of us. In the bottom of your screen, in the bottom left-hand corner, if you wave your mouse over the screen, you'll see a button that looks like this. It should have a red slash through it. We ask that you stay muted for the entire time in order to let those who speak have space. In the upper right-hand corner of your screen, you'll see a button that looks like this, that's highlighted in orange. If you go there and click speaker view, you will see the person who is talking. The alternative option is gallery view if you want to see all of us who are assembled together. There is a chat button at the bottom of your screen. Again, if you wave your mouse over your screen and look at the bottom, it looks something like this. If you click on that, you can see comments anyone has made. And we invite you to send love and messages to the family and to each other through the chat. We'll save whatever is in here as a transcript and provide it to the family at the end of the service. There is a link to the program that has been provided in the chat window, and I'll do that again soon. And it'll be resent at the beginning of each new segment of the service. Without further ado, I would like to invite Dennis's older brother, Phil, to say a few words of remembrance.
Thank you, Sonia. Dennis is probably a brother that everybody would love to have. He was an awesome brother. But he was also an awesome man. And I'd like to talk to you a little bit about some of the things about Den through his life that you may or may not know. And I'd like to start out with something kind of funny, that most of you may know that Dennis talked with just a slight lisp throughout his entire life. Well, the way he got that lisp is when he was about 2 years old. He was standing in one of our dinette chairs facing the back of it, and that chair tipped over, and when Dennis's face hit the floor, he bit a little chunk out of his tongue. And ever since then, he spoke with that lisp. And another thing, Dennis was terribly protective of his children. And when Natalie was a little tiny baby, and I was over there at their house, probably spending the night or something, and she had colic so bad, she was just screaming. And I would tell Dennis that all we had to do is, you remember this, Rita? All we had to do is give her a little bit of Mogan David in that formula, and that would take care of that colic. He said no. Well, one night, Den had to work late, and guess what I did? I put about a teaspoon of Mogan David into Natalie's formula. She burped like crazy and went sound asleep. So Natalie, that's why you love wine so much, okay?
Thank you for clarifying that. It all makes sense now.
Yeah, but it was Mogan David, so I encourage you to go buy you a bottle of Mogan David and just try it and see how you like it. The other thing with Jason, I mean, he loved that boy like crazy. We watched Jason do his skateboarding. We watched Jason and Ryan David do all kind of things that some of them I don't even want to talk about on Jason. That would not be nice tonight. But anyway, and then Den was, there was another side of Den. Den was a very spiritual person. A lot of people don't understand that about him, but he was a very spiritual guy. And I remember one time I brought him with me to Promise Keepers in Dallas, Texas at the American Airlines Center. And we really had a great time and everything. And if you've ever been to a Promise Keepers event, it's very moving and very spiritual. When we went to leave there, Den grabbed me and said, "I don't want to leave this place." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "God is here." And that side of Den that a lot of you didn't get to see, but I was fortunate enough to see that. Um, we also had some great parents. We grew up with some great and awesome parents. And Den was a little bit different. Uh, when when things kind of went crazy, Den never got a whooping, but Phil and Donnie did. And so Den would rather be in the house and with his mother, with our mother, and Aunt Amy, or Mom B, or Aunt Ella, all those ladies, and Aunt Elmer as well. All those ladies were probably some of the finest chefs and cooks in Southwest Louisiana that you could find. That's where Den learned his cooking skills. He went to the school of Cajun cooking right there. And some of those ladies cooked real well, cooked food real well. Others baked real well. So he got a well-rounded education in the culinary arts from those ladies. The thing about Den is he loved to, we had so many good times camping. And, you know, Jason and Ryan, I remember one time we were at Crooked Creek and we saw you guys coming with that big old truck all piled up to the sky. It looked like the Beverly Hillbillies moving from one side of the country to the other. But boy, did we have fun on those camping trips. And so I think that's something we all like to remember. Den and I had a love-hate relationship, but we loved each other a lot. But we also got into it pretty good too. So typical brother stuff, you know, even as adults, but the big thing is we wound up loving each other a lot. And with that, I kind of want to just kind of close this little introduction and by saying, I wish you all could have known him like I did. And all I've got to say is I love you, I love you, I love you, and I can't wait to see you again, Den.
Amen.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for those lovely words, Phil. The next element of our ceremony here is a slideshow to show some brief memories of Dennis.
I, the Lord of sea and sky, I have heard my people cry, all who dwell in dark and sin, my hand will save. I who made the stars of night, I will make their darkness bright. Who will bear my light to them? Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, if you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart.
Thank you. I should mention that that song was one of Dad's favorite songs to sing when he was in the choir at Queen of Heaven in the family choir. And so that's why I chose it. At this moment, I'm going to hand it over to some of Dad's closest friends and loved ones to share some memories of his life, starting with Ryan Davi.
Couple things that I remember and that I will always remember Mr. Dennis about. The first one, without a doubt, would have to be camping. I used to have some of the best times of my life when he would bring us to Crooked Creek and learn many things. The first, as Phil had already mentioned, was the amount of stuff you can cram into the back of a Ford Ranger. I was amazed not only to see it in there, but to see it come out of there. But one of the first lessons he taught me was when it comes to roughing it in a tent, it requires to have an AC unit and a TV. But we would always have so much fun when we went. It was almost magical. Not only that we were able to get there in one piece with that loaded truck, but the amount of just the freedom he would give us to explore around. The best food was always prepared whenever it was time to eat, and somehow magically we all got it all packed up and we're able to get back on time, which would always leave us asking, when can we go back? When can we go back? It was a common topic. And there's one other thing he taught me. I'm not sure if everybody got to experience it, but I call it the clap, where he would just come up from behind you, pop those hands, scaring the hell out of you. And to this day, I probably do that daily to anybody I get a chance to, and think of Mr. Dennis every time. He was like another father to me. He's going to be greatly missed. And hopefully I'll get to see him again one day.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Next, I'd like to invite Mr. Myron Leloup to say a few words.
Hello. I first met Dennis in 1977. I applied for a job at Burger King, and he was the manager there. I had a cousin that worked there, and he was able to talk to Dennis and get me on, or help the process. And that was the beginning of a long relationship that I had with Dennis. He was later to become my brother-in-law. His wife at the time was Rita, and Rita's two sisters would come in and work during the summer. And that's where I met Danita. She was there working. She'd go stay with Dennis and Rita during the summer and help out with Natalie when she was a baby and work. And we met, and Dennis kind of became a mentor to me at that time. I was a young kid, didn't know what I wanted to do. And he taught me a lot about the restaurant business, about family. And later we became brother-in-laws, and it was more of a brother relationship than a brother-in-law. We were really good friends. We hung out together a lot. We were able to take a lot of trips together with the company we worked for, and we just became really good friends. And I had the most respect for him. He helped me, become a man at the time, and taught me so much about life. And I'll be forever grateful for that. And his kids were very close to us, still are, and we love them like they're our own children. So we know it's a very hard time for them right now, and we're just glad to be here to pay a tribute to Dennis. Um, I know he's going to be missed by a lot of people, his brothers, his children, grandchildren, but we'll miss him as well. I guess if I have any regrets over the last few years, that we probably didn't see him enough. Once he moved to Tennessee, we just didn't talk a lot or get to visit a lot, but we're thankful for Facebook that we were able to communicate a lot. He could see what was going on in our lives, and we could see what was going on with him. And we just didn't realize some of the things that he was going through with some of his health issues. I didn't know it was that serious while he was up there, and regret, not asking more or checking into him a little bit more often. But, it is what it is. And we loved him like a brother, and we're going to really miss him. We always went camping with him a lot as well. One of the things that I can remember about going to Crooked Creek, we always had so much fun. And as far as his cooking skills, coconut cake, one of the best you would ever eat. And we always tried to get him to make one for my birthday just about every year, or any chance we could. So anyway, I'm not much on a whole lot of words, but we love Dennis, and we wish his kids well, and his two brothers and Manny. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Myron. I'd like to invite Stacy Langley next to say a few words.
Did you say me? I'm sorry, my screen froze.
I'm so sorry. Yes, Miss Langley.
No.
You.
Okay. Like Myron, I'm not a person of many words. I don't like words. I think they take too long to communicate what you're trying to express, and they don't do a good job. So I don't have a lot of words for you today.
I think we've lost Stacy temporarily.
But sadness, a little bit more than I even thought it would be. And it's not so much, it's showing my internet being funky. It's not so much for the loss, for my loss, but it's because my dad doesn't have his brother to talk to any longer. And he doesn't have his mom any longer either, and that hurts me. And my cousins don't have their dad to lean on and joke with. Den was so good at relaxing. He and I were kindred spirits like that. I think I inherited from that. I can relax with the best of them. I hardly ever saw him sitting in a chair. He was always laying on the floor at family gatherings, usually in blue jean shorts. And you always felt loved around him. And I know many of Natalie and Jason's friends considered him a friend and a parent. Ryan can attest to that, and I know there's many others that can too. And he really took the time to listen. When you talked to Den, he was present. He was there. He was like he was the only one you were the only person in the room when you were talking to him. And I'm just so grateful that I got to have him in my life growing up. He was a supportive uncle, and he gave me great cousins. Just the best, really. I know I haven't been that close with you guys in my adult life, but I love you guys, and I'm so sorry. And I think you're the best. And we all had fun growing up. We ate a lot. We decorated. We played on the farm, and in the woods, and we camped, and we took vacations together. And did I mention we ate a lot? Cinnamon rolls were the best of Den's. That was his thing. We even got to decorate Burger King one year. For some reason, that just really sticks out in my mind, and it was such a big deal that we were the ones that got to decorate Burger King. And I don't think I ever saw him in a bad mood. His death just feels wrong in so many ways. And I hate coronavirus. I hate it. And I can't wait for us to all get vaccinated. But I know Dan would not have me get hung up on that. And I'm going to choose on how to focus on how lucky I am to have gotten the time I did with him. So I'm truly honored to have walked with him in this life. And I'm actually honored to walk with you all. And we have a neat family. And I thank you all for being a part of my life.
Thank you so much, Stacy. I'd like to invite Mr. Russell Langley now to say a few words.
Well, there were my notes. Yeah, how does one pick a few words or a memory to share of a beloved sibling? The loss of a sibling is probably the hardest thing I've ever gone through in my life. And trust me, I know about losing people. I'm gonna miss Dennis so bad, and I'm gonna miss texting Phil and saying, "Who's he mad at today, you or me?" It was that kind of way. But we loved our brother. I can honestly say I've never seen 3 siblings care more for each other than me and my brothers. Anyway, I remember a lot about Dennis. He was kind, he was loving, he was passionate about his family. He taught me about camping too, and the military soon ruined those visions I had because I didn't get air conditioning. I too am a Burger King alumni and of the Dennis Langley School of you better not have that order late. And one thing that prepared me for, and I never thought it would, was after working for my brother for 2 summers, there wasn't a drill sergeant alive that could intimidate me. He was mischievous. He was funny. Our 2 old aunts, and Amy and Ella, raised our dad and pretty much raised me as well and lived alongside us out there at the farm. And it was so funny when Dennis would walk to their house and get up on their porch and clap those hands and scare those 2 poor old ladies that they'd cuss in French. And road trips with Dennis were so long. No matter where you went, if there was a produce stand, you stopped. He taught me a lot. He taught me to be kind. And he taught me what I know about cooking. And I tried to learn some of his baking skills, and I quickly learned my limitations. But no matter where I was coming back from, no matter what deployment, no matter what place overseas, there'd always be a cake waiting there that Dennis had made for me. He even made the wedding cake for my lovely wife, Lisa, and I. You will be sorely missed, my brother. I have a hole in me that will never be filled. But you will live on for me as well. Every time I make a roux or burn some bread, I'll be thinking of you. I love you, Dennis Paul, and we'll meet again.
Thank you for those heartfelt words, Russell. I'd like to invite Miss Madeline Sims to say a few comments.
Okay, now can you hear me?
We
Can
can
you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. One of the things that would always impress me was in the last few years with Dennis and I in Tennessee, how much he loved the scenery. The trees when they turned in the autumn, and just anytime we had to go to Knoxville, he was excited to go just because he could see the mountains and see the scenery. And the other thing, and I'm not one of a lot of words either, Stacy. So I just want to say, 29 years ago, he hired my son, and Chad worked for him at Burger King, and Chad loved Dennis so much, and Chad passed away that same year in 1992. But now they're reunited and they're getting acquainted again in heaven, and I know that's where he is, and I just love him so much. You will be missed, Dennis.
He will indeed. He will be missed. I'd like to invite Donnie Cochran.
All right, and me and Dan, we was 11 days apart. And we spent lots of time and had lots of memories together through the years. And for two people to be so different, we was just so close, you know. Dan, he was just so easy going, and I guess that wasn't me hardly, you know. But I remember we done some things together, and one that sticks in my mind is that we'd always play outside at my grandma's. And she had a shower in the back apartment in the back behind the garage. But me and Dan was little, I don't know, I guess 5, 6 years old, maybe younger, I don't know. But she always kept us towels and wash rags back there. So we'd clean up back there, then we'd go in the house. So we played out there in the yard, then we went in there and took a shower. So I come to the edge of the garage and I'm hollering at Mama to bring some towels because she didn't have us any towels. So I'm not getting no response, you know. So I hollered again and still nothing. So I said, Dan, you ready? Now, look, we naked. We ain't got no clothes on or nothing. So I said, Dan, are you ready to go? He said, where we're going? I said, we're going in the house. So we take off there, and Momo had a bunch of her church women in there. They was drinking coffee and eating cake and stuff, you know. Well, we run through that room, and that little short coon ass was right on me, you know. And I kind of got whipped for that pretty good, you know. They didn't touch Dan, you know, but I got whipped for it pretty good. But that size I always was, and we knew that, you know. But it's I'm gonna miss him. Me and Phil had talked about taking a little trip up there, and then Phil called me probably the week after. Maybe me and Phil was going to plan a trip to go to Tennessee and see him. And he said, well, Dan's moving back. We don't have to go. So me and Dan would text, you know, we was getting excited about him coming down and seeing one another, you know. Well, that didn't really mature. But Dan, we love you. We miss you. And we'll see you again. That's it, man.
And y'all are not excused from making a trip to Tennessee.
Well, no, we wasn't. But
I'm still here.
We'll shut it down.
Thank you so much, Donnie. I'd like to invite Mr. Mark Cushing to say a few words.
You know, I didn't think Natalie was mad at me, but making me follow Donnie, I don't think I've ever followed anybody that should have ended the show. So, but I only knew Dennis the last 6 years or so of his life. So I'm different than a lot of folks, particularly all the family and friends in Louisiana that knew him so long. But I had a unique window, and I'm just going to share it briefly. and you'll appreciate it because you know Dennis' love of music, but more importantly, his love of his mother. So there was about a 4-month period where we lived across the street from Dennis and Mom in Tazewell, and Natalie was in Minnesota with Mayo Clinic before she took her job down here in Arizona. And on Monday nights, I just made sure I'd have an excuse to sneak across the street when The Voice was on. And I could picture Dennis sitting in his chair and Ma sitting in her chair, and they watched The Voice. And I mean, I love music, but I can't say that my plan every Monday night was to watch The Voice. But I didn't go over there to watch The Voice. I went over there to watch Dennis and Ma. And I can tell you the truth, I've never seen anybody who loved his mother more and show that. And to watch those two watch The Voice was a highlight of my week. And they watched it like LSU fans watch a ball game. Mm-hmm. I mean, they knew every singer, they knew their aunt, their uncle, they knew everything about their lives, they knew the whole story, and they thought about it. And Dennis liked somebody, and Ma would say, no, he's not best, I like her better. And they go back and forth like Ozzie and Harriet, for those of you that remember that show. And I'd go home or go across the street, which is the best feeling, because I'd just been around two people that just shared a love of life and music. And I doubt I'll ever see a mother and son like that. And it's a great memory. So he left too soon. I know, Natalie's loss will never be repaired, but it was a privilege and special for me. So I hope that's a good memory for you folks.
Thank you so much, Mark. I'd like to conclude this section with Miss Linda Finlay saying a few words.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Okay, I'm ready.
You can go right ahead.
Okay. It's my privilege to be a part of Den's extended family, and thus I was able to observe his life from the beginning until the end, and the decline came much too quickly. From childhood, he was very loving. As children, I remember Phil and Donnie did not mind getting dirty and making a big mess and leaving it. Den, not so much. He was, even as a young child, he was concerned about things being clean. And he would have his little rag that he went around wiping things clean. That's a trait that stayed with him for the rest of his life. The family lived in Lake Charles and Sunset Acres during the time that Den was in middle school. And he discovered that he could ride his bicycle to our house. So he showed up quite frequently on that bicycle. And of course, we were thrilled that he chose to do that. We always enjoyed his visits. When he reached maturity and became a responsible, hardworking individual, he gained his most cherished position in his life, that of dad. He loved his children and later his grandchildren unconditionally. He just beamed with pride at their every accomplishment, a really proud dad. Den was a generous person. He was always willing to share whatever he had. And I shall always be grateful that he and Rita were willing to share their children's time with us, allowing us to build a special bond with them, much like we had with him. Den always sought to know the good side of others. He enjoyed entertaining, and he made sure that the array of food was more than ample, and of course, super good and beautifully presented. And that trait appears in both of his children. He had a special way. a talent really of making others feel welcome in his home. I never felt like a visitor at his house. In more recent times, when he and his mom lived in Tennessee, our visits were for a few days. Their welcome words were always, "We have been waiting for your visit." And at the end, "Do you have to leave already?" Den was a very real person who expressed his life in what he did. There was no attempt to impress. Most often, he was found smiling with that special gleam in his eye. He was always giving bits of kindness that leave us with joyful memories. Everyone present here this evening, and oh, he would love to see all of this, seeing all the people that he loved. We have our own special memories, times of laughter and pleasure, or maybe more serious times. But memory is the imprint of past times and the keeper of our deepest feelings. Robert Louis Stevenson said, "Like a bird singing in the rain, let grateful memories survive in time of sorrow." Thanks, Den, for leaving us rich in memories.
Thank you so much, Linda. Those were incredibly moving words. Now I'd like to go ahead and
I think I have this one. The slideshow, the one I played before, so I hope I have the right one. So this is a slideshow. It's done to a song that Dad loved. He had listened to it on his phone in the hospital. When I picked up his phone, I noticed that he had listened to this, and so I chose this one. And it's a really beautiful song. And I will say that thanks for commenting on Dad's smile, because when I was looking through and finding photos of him, it's the one thing that I noticed, that in every single photo, he just has this wonderful, wonderful smile. That I didn't even come across a photo where he didn't have this great smile. So I will share my screen and let everybody enjoy these photos.
I've dealt with my ghost and I've faced all my demons, finally content with the past I regret. I've found you find strength in your moments of weakness. For once I'm at peace with myself. I've been burdened with blame, trapped in the past for too long. I'm moving on. I've lived in this place and I know all the faces. Each one is different, but they're always the same. They mean me no harm, but it's time that I face it. They'll never allow me to change. But I never dreamed home would end up where I don't belong. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. At last I can see life has been patiently waiting for me, and I know there's no guarantees, but I'm not alone. sold what I could and packed what I couldn't. Stopped to fill up on my way out of town. I've loved like I should, but lived like I shouldn't. I had to lose everything to find out. Maybe forgiveness will find me somewhere down this road. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. I'm moving on.
Natalie, I think you were muted.
Got it. Okay. So it was emotional putting that together, because as I put it together, one of the things that I noticed was how present my dad always was in everyone's life. He was there to open presents with us every Christmas, like made cakes for everyone. And he was just, his family meant everything to him, and his friends were his family. And that's why all of you are here. And I want to thank everyone for being here. It means a lot to me, my brother, and our family, that you all took the time to remember our dad virtually with us. And I also want to thank Sonia Van Newland for helping with the hosting. And with that, I'm going to play one last song. And Sonia, while I'm cueing the song, I'll just hand it over to you.
Wonderful. So during this song, we invite you to leave any comments or memories or love that you have to give this family and to Dennis in the chat below. So just to remind you, if you wave your mouse over your screen, you should see a menu appear at the bottom. There will be a chat function. Go ahead and click on that. Anything you type in there, we will save and distribute to members of the family.
La grâce du ciel est descendue, me sauver de l'enfer. J'étais perdu, je suis retrouvé.